to another episode of the Bondist Podcast. I'm your host, Savanna Boda.
And I'm your co-host, Tyler Jacoby.
And today we are with the beautiful Isabel, and she's going to tell us everything about SIV. So a little backstory, if you guys have not heard about SIV yet, it is the newest Biome product on the market. To us, it's been around for now, how long?
A year. So we launched last December.
Yeah. And it has fully changed my life because it has changed my son's life. And if you guys know, my son, he was born C-section, cesarean, and a lot of babies that are born with C-sections can have some skin issues like dermatitis, more rashes, more prone to eczema. And poor little dude has had wrecked skin from the womb. And I'm like, of course, God would give me the child that has the skin problems because I'm an esthetician and can fix it. But I was never able to fully heal it. I mean, I even am very against steroid creams. I think in some cases, they're needed to clear something up quickly, but long term, we all know the side effects of that. I mean, it's just not ideal for skin health and for general health. So, we used some steroid creams from his doctor. Nothing worked. We tried changing his diet. That didn't really do much. And again, he's a 3-year-old, so he has to eat at the end of the day. So I'm going to let him eat what he's going to consume because toddlers are picky. My mom's out there know. And, we were using lipid serum on him. We were using hyacinth, restorative, comfort cream, and all of those things were helping calm it so it wasn't so itchy and so inflamed. But I've never seen my skin or my son's skin 100% clear until we used SIV. And I was like, you had sent it to me, I think, right when you guys launched about a year ago. And I had some PTSD trauma from another Biome product. And so I was just a little fearful. And, of course, when I had a bad experience, I'm like, I just don't want to mess with another Biome based product right now, yada, yada. And then I started seeing some estheticians that I follow posting these amazing before and afters with eczema on children. And I was like, you know what, I might not sell this or use it for myself or on clients, but I'm going to get this and just use it on my son and see how it goes. Not even, I shit you guys not, 24 hours later, it was 90% better. 48 hours, it was completely gone. And I was like, what is in this? I told Tyler, I was like, call and order a million. I need this in my office right this second. And, I owe you my life, honestly. I never, ever, ever thought there would be a day that my son would not have to struggle with his eczema and his dermatitis. And now he's been on it, 3-4 months now at this point, and we have not had one flare up. And especially during the fall, winter, which is what we're in right now, is when those conditions can get their worst with cold weather. And so I am just over the moon as a mother. And as an esthetician, just so happy and thankful for you creating this product, for you doing that research and bringing this to the market and just making it so not only accessible, but affordable too for clients and their children. So I'm really excited for our listeners and Esties to hear more about your product right from your mouth and all about it. Just dive in, tell us your story, tell us everything, tell us the why.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for that amazing testimonial. I love when I can help the kids, especially because that is my background is in pediatrics, right? I started working for SIV. And so I was talking to pediatricians all the time about skin health. And you probably experienced this, Savannah, they don't know very much about the skin at all. I would say probably the number one question I got asked by them was, what's a ceramide? Because we were talking all about ceramides. And then why should I care about the skin? They were literally asking me that, which is crazy. And of course, it's not all of them, but the ones in Michigan that I was coming in contact with, that's what we were hearing. Yeah. So I love that we can be a solution to the babies. And, I got to say, so our origin story, me and you, Savannah, I don't know if you remember, but we met at IECSC.
Yes.
And gave you product. And this was in March. So we were fresh out of the gate. Nobody knew a single thing about us. I don't even think the packaging was actually fully final yet. But I had of course you were getting swarmed by everybody and you were, trying to get somewhere. And I ran up and I gave you the bottles and I was like, hey, this is SIV. Hopefully you like it, being so annoying. And you were super sweet. You were like, oh my God, thank you, whatever. So then when we reconnected now back in November, December, you still had the bottles,
Yep.
which I gotta say, I was shocked. Like, I thought for sure that they were going to be like in the garbage.
No,
like,
no.
like this like crazy girl brought me this product. Like, what is this? This is going in the garbage. So to your credit, it was so sweet that you actually kept them and you had them still. And that was amazing to see. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you, still had those.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I started in pediatrics. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, I don't have a background in science. I don't have a background in chemistry, nothing like that. I literally
She's like my
graduated-
age too, which is like so badass. Like that's something else I just love is that you're a young woman and you are paving the way in this industry and making a life for yourself and like changing lives while doing it. And that is just so inspiring. I mean, this industry is very much male dominated, even when it comes to the CEOs and the people that are making the products and running the products. And I just love seeing more female founders. And I love seeing young females just shooting for the stars and obtaining their dreams and changing lives while doing it. So congratulations. If you have not told yourself this every single day, you should. Because what you're doing is big work. I mean, it's not just another serum. It's not just another cleanser. It's something that has changed so many lives and helped so many people. And it filled a gap that so many of us were searching for.
Thank you. And I knew that if I wanted to go into this market, it had to be truly revolutionary and unique because, nobody needs another cleanser. Nobody, like, we've got things dialed in, right? So to penetrate that market, it really had to be something different. And I kind of stumbled upon this, to be honest. So I was doing a lot of research for these pediatricians who were asking me all about skin health, specifically things like eczema and baby acne and things like that. So that's how I even found out about the skin microbiome. And so I was like, wow, interesting. The skin has a microbiome. This is pretty important for how the skin functions and all of that. So initially I had just Googled like products for the skin microbiome. And this was back in 2021. So, because I was like, somebody surely had to have like figured this out, right? So nothing comes up. Okay. I Google it and it's like an oil. And they're like, it's microbiome friendly. I'm like, cool. So that basically means it does nothing to the microbiome. Like it's friendly. So I was like, wow, that's so interesting, but whatever. I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to let someone smarter than me figure this out. So I just kind of like go on with my life. And I just had this like whisper in the back of my head, like, I don't know, you should like do something about this. And like, it was just something strange, like pulling me towards this. So by happenstance, I happened to be listening to a podcast actually. And this podcast was talking about these bacillus spores. And these spores were revolutionizing the gut space. They were so unique. They're so resilient. They perform this really unique process of quorum sensing, and they're able to just balance out microbiomes. And I'm like, I wonder if anyone's ever used these on the skin, or I wonder if because they're so resilient, they could be used in a cosmetic formula and survive. So I actually DM'd the microbiologist on that podcast just randomly. I'm like, hey, I have this weird idea. Like, what do you think about using the spores on the skin? And he's like, yeah, like to his credit, he answered. And he's like, yeah, I think that there's some utility here. I think that we could do something here. So I was like, okay, like, I'm thinking about putting them in a formula, whatever. And he's like, you know what? Let me send you some to start formulating with. And I'm like, okay. So he sends me the spores, they arrive, and I'm like formulating the product in my kitchen, literally just from like research, like using Paula's Choice ingredient dictionary and my own like brain of knowing like what products are really good for the skin and what ingredients are really good for the skin. Because my main objective here was not to like make some super complicated, crazy product. I knew that the spores would be utility enough. And so my main objective, to be honest with the carrier, was to get out of the way of the spore and just allow a vessel for the spore to reach the skin and then let that spore do its magic. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't know how to make an emulsion. I didn't know how to like do any of that. And that's why the serum is all oil-based. Like, to be totally honest, it was just, I stumbled upon something so good and I didn't even realize what I had when I was doing it, but it just worked out for the best. And now like the case studies that I had, the first ones are of myself and my friends. We all had acne, and I had a couple friends that had psoriasis and eczema. And across the board, we all saw amazing results. And for anyone who wants to look, if you go on my Instagram and like scroll down,
I did that. It's so cute to see it. Like it was like in like one of those old school like e-cig juice bottles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That was the initial dropper because I was like on Amazon, like, okay, how do I package this?
I love that.
No, it's amazing.
Because the formula is pretty, simple to a point because there's like less than 8 ingredients in it, right?
There's 4 ingredients.
4.
It's squalane, 2 fatty esters, and the spores.
Wow.
That's it.
What amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been copy and pasting that full ingredient list a lot and when making the bundles and like and other products like this big and then so it's like one line.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. I mean, it just really speaks to the spores that are, really working their magic and doing wonders.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to Savanna's story with it, like I saw her struggle so hard with her son with it because I don't want to say it made you feel like a failure, but it's like, yeah, okay, it did.
It did. I'm like, I can heal acne, I can heal melasma, I can reverse aging. I help so many clients with eczema, but and that's the funny thing is like lipid serum and restorative HA and hyacinth active and comfort cream, like it was good for a lot of clients. It would be the prayer. I mean, it would clear them completely, but I'm like, of course, my kid, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It just wasn't enough. There was just like this missing key ingredient. I mean, God, I was at the Science of Skin Summit or the Skincare of Science Summit. I always say it wrong. And I was going to every booth because it's more a derm-based meeting. And I was going everywhere to grab, would you guys have anything for eczema? Do you have anything for eczema? And, everyone gave me stuff. I'd try it. It wasn't doing anything. And then SIV, I mean, literally a day later, I was like, what's the worst that can happen? Let's try this. And my jaw still to this day is still on the floor. I still have yet to pick it up because, it truly, I just think it is the coolest thing. Like out of everything I've tried, like you fixed it.
And it's I mean, trying like the most complicated science, like, I mean, like they're paying for these technologies to be the cure for these things. And like all along, like
we're all doing it in her kitchen, clock the code from a podcast. I mean, like that's literally the craziest thing. And I hope any young listener or anyone in general, doesn't matter what age you are, hears that like if you have an idea, like, and you don't think you're good at, like, I'm sure for you, you're like, I'm not a chemist, I'm not an esthetician, I'm not a dermatologist, like, who am I to do this? But you knew you had a mission and you knew you had something special and you pushed. And that takes a lot of courage. A lot of people won't do that. A lot of people will not push all the way through because of, fear holding them back or not feeling good enough or, just scared. And I just think it is so amazing that you pushed through and now look at you. Now look at your brand. Now look at where you're going. Like this is just still the beginning for you. And I just can see like already before my eyes, just like so many opportunities and just so many things happening for you. And I am so excited to be partnered with you and to help you any way that I can because I just believe in what you're doing. And I am just so proud of you. I am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, yeah, it's been so inspiring the whole time to see the effect that we can actually have on people. Like I said, I had no idea what I was stumbling into. I'm an outsider from the esthetician world. Like I had no idea about this whole world. I had no idea about how incredibly educated estheticians are. I mean, they are insanely smart when it comes to the skin and knowing the questions to ask, understanding the mechanism of action. And this serum's not like a simple mechanism of action. I mean, in our onboarding calls, I go through the entire science of the skin microbiome. I go through quorum sensing. I tell them what leaky skin is. I talk about the differences that SIV can make in eczema cases. Like you talk about how you tried all these different things, but we approach eczema in such a different way from that point of really targeting the Staph aureus on the skin. And Staph aureus is so tricky, right? So like the colonization of Staph aureus, if we want to talk a little bit
Let's
about
go.
eczema.
Yes, get in there, girl.
Okay, so eczema is characterized as having an abundance of Staph aureus on the skin, right? And Staph aureus is so tricky to treat for a few reasons. So one, it's robust, meaning it does not have a lot of competitors naturally on the skin. So when it gets on the skin, it can really easily overtake that microbiome, and there's not a lot that it can do to stop it. It's very hard to stop it. Now, once it's overtaken the skin and kind of, populated on the skin, it starts to attack the barrier. And it does that through ceramide levels. And so it really attacks through ceramide and filigran levels. So you're left with this kind of collection of skin cells without any of this really like lipid to kind of hold them together, right? So now we start to see tons of transepidermal water loss. That's why it's so hard to keep proper hydration levels in the skin in those cases, because there's nothing to hold it in. So then your skin also starts to overpopulate or overproduce skin cells to try and compensate for this lack of lipid in there. So now you see the plaquing of the skin and all of this kind of scaliness that comes along with eczema. Along with that, this degradation is also leading to a lot of nerve exposure. So that's where you start to see lots of burning on the skin, redness, itchiness, all of this crazy like discomfort that comes with eczema. So when we see this, we're like, okay, we need to treat the barrier because the barrier is literally being pillaged, right? So we use products then that will nourish the barrier, help the barrier to kind of grow these ceramides back. Maybe in some cases, we're adding ceramides to the skin, other lipids that the skin loves. Well, this is the food that the Staph aureus feeds off of. So as the barrier is trying to repair, the Staph aureus is like, sweet, I get a new food supply. Let's go. And it just starts, eating away again. So it's really hard to break that cycle without actually targeting that Staph aureus. So then we go to a steroid because a steroid, what we know it does is it suppresses that bacteria, but it does it artificially, right? So it's just artificially suppressing that and the bacteria around it. So everything is dampened at that point. So the barrier does have a reprieve. It's able to rebuild in those cases, but it's not doing it because there's actual competition on the skin that's changed the tools of the ecosystem. And the whole name of the game about a microbiome or an ecosystem is competition. And that is kind of where SIV helps to facilitate these beneficial strains to increase competition and being able to outcompete certain pathogens. So we add the steroid, it brings everything down. The skin does repair. We come off the steroid because we're like, oh, awesome, the skin's back. Like, we're fine, the barrier's back. But then what happens? The Staph aureus is like, I'm back. What's up? Like, I'm not gone.
It's like a toxic ex that won't leave.
Right.
Yeah.
No, literally. And so we see this reflaring of the eczema. And then in some cases, it'll be even worse because the entire immune system's been dampened for that period of time. And so it's completely miscalibrated. So the skin microbiome, which controls the skin's immune system, starts to respond to everything. And it's like, what's going on here? What's going on here? And this is all presenting as inflammation on the skin. So not only do you have this flare up of eczema, but you also have this overactive immune system that's causing just even more reactivity in the skin. And so that's where we start to end up with like conditions of like topical steroid withdrawal or just worse conditions of eczema. So it's a really vicious cycle, essentially, right? And you're obviously really familiar with that. And so the way that SIV has kind of been able to change this a little bit is the spore itself in there. So we use bacillus spores. The spore itself is actually able to break apart this biofilm that Staph aureus creates. So a big part of treating eczema is breaking apart that biofilm. Because Staph aureus is smart and it protects itself. And it's like, not getting to me. So without breaking that apart, you're not even getting to the Staph aureus. So you break that apart, you expose the Staph aureus. And then the spore, we have testing that it actually is able to outcompete that Staph aureus. So it brings that Staph aureus down. It's actively working to bring it down. While that's happening, this is the important part. It's facilitating competitors like Staph epidermidis. And Staph epidermidis is Staph aureus's greatest competitor. So they have an inverse relationship. The more Staph epidermidis you have on the skin, the less Staph aureus you can have on the skin. And so this is its greatest competitor. And we have tests that actually show we can bring this back to the skin. Where people who were in their baseline measuring with none of this on the skin, it came back after they were using SIV for 14 days. So it's actively working then to create a competitor to be able to colonize the skin after that bacillus spore is gone, keeping that Staph aureus down. The other great thing about Staph epidermidis is it secretes this enzyme called sphingomyelinase, which actually gathers nutrients on the skin to funnel that to the body to produce ceramide. So not only are you eradicating this bacteria that erodes ceramide, but you're also facilitating a bacteria that actually helps the body to produce ceramide and outcompete that other bacteria. And it's interesting, like you can draw correlative lines. There's studies done on the amount of sphingomyelinase on the skin and the amount of ceramide within the skin barrier. So it's so interesting how connected everything is and this competition that's going on. It's just amazing.
It is so cool to hear you talk about that. And like, I love nerding out. And I just think it's so amazing that like she literally sent me, when I asked her, I was like, how many conditions can this treat? And she sent me like a whole novel of every skin concern and like how it works. And so many companies can't do that. And they have like chief science officers and so many like, things going on. So I think that's so amazing. Talk to us about acne, because that was something, and I will be honest, I've still been a little, because of PTSD, hesitant to recommend for a lot of my acne clients. And I'm getting a little more comfy, I just, dip my toes in. I'm like, we'll start with like eczema and dermatitis and then go. But, you've seen, and really you created this mostly too for acne. So talk to us a little bit about how this works with acne and what you've seen. We've done some with fungal acne and had really, really good success, but I want to hear a little bit more about the non-inflamed side and the inflamed.
Yeah, totally. So acne is another function of kind of balancing the skin microbiome, right? So we've actually done some microbiome testing on acne clients, and our results were really interesting. So we had tested 2 clients and we did their microbiome swab. So at their baseline, they each tested, and they had acne. Now, the C. acne strain is really interesting, the way that it plays into all of this, because the C. acne strain is good to have on the skin, and it's not always like the main driver of acne, right? Like a lot of times when it does become overgrown, it can trigger the immune system because that's a normal part of how immune systems work. But it's not the whole story with acne. And actually, whether or not you're more or less acne prone can actually change the amount of C. acnes that you can handle on the skin without it triggering the immune system. So it's kind of interesting. And it's such a good bacteria and a protective bacteria to have on the skin.
Yeah.
Now, if you're really acne prone, you can't handle that much of that bacteria on the skin, or else you're going to start to have acne and trigger acne. So in one of our participants, we swabbed his skin. His skin microbiome came back with 60% of his microbiome being composed of the C. acne strain. So way too high, right? So we, have him use the serum for 14 days, once a day. We see that strain come down to 13%.
Wow. So
a 47 percentage point drop. It didn't eradicate it, but it balanced it. And you can see in his before and after the total resolution of the acne, including inflammation in other areas of the face too, that, weren't as inflamed or were inflamed before. So like around his nose area and stuff, he had some inflammation, which was gone. So that was amazing to see. And then, so our next participant, really interesting. We swab her skin. She also has acne. Her starting C. acnes concentration is around 14%. Okay. So only 1 percentage point higher than where his trial ended, but she's still got acne. So it was really interesting. Now, after 14 days, we're like, okay, what's it going to do? Because if it drops it at the same rate as the first participant, this C. acne is going to be gone after 14 days. Like it's going to be eradicated. So after 14 days, we swab her skin. Her skin does a total 180. It looks really amazing at the end. She's got no more acne lesions. And she had a lot of like tonality issues as far as like PIE, PIH, crepiness, kind of things like that. And that was pretty well resolved. So we see her C. acne strain. It only comes down by 2.5 percentage points. So 11.5%, meaning the spore was able to identify in this participant, our first participant, the C. acne strain is so highly elevated. We need to really bring this down. Now, in the second participant, maybe the C. acnes wasn't as big of a problem. So it only brought it down by 2.5 percentage points, but they still both saw clear skin.
Wow.
Now, when we're looking at her cornybacterium levels, which cornybacterium is a bacteria that we would expect to find in a drier area, right? We really wouldn't expect to see this on the face. Her cornybacterium was at around 15%. So higher than you would expect to see it, which is likely the driver of a lot of this inflammation that we were seeing and some of this PIE, PIH, crepiness, dryness, because it can actually erode the barrier. So when we looked at her after swab and we looked at the concentration of cornybacterium, this bacteria was essentially undetectable.
Wow.
So the spore is able to identify, okay, maybe the C. acnes isn't a huge driver here, but this cornybacterium is really a problem. So we really need to bring this down. Where in the other one, it was really able to target this overgrowth of the C. acne strain. And we see this over and over again, which it's so interesting to really look at it at a granular level like this, because 2 people can present with the same or similar condition and have totally different needs in their microbiomes and totally different needs of those ecosystems. And that would explain too why it's like no 2 routines may fit perfectly for one person, like for each person, like you can put 2 people on the same routine and have different results.
Yeah, definitely.
Even when they're presenting with a similar condition to start with. And it's all because of those microbes in that ecosystem.
So maybe I'm still a little lost or it hasn't been explained yet. Because I will say I was on the intro call. Savanna was like nerding out the entire time. And I think my head was just spinning because I don't know. Normally, I like to think I'm smart, but that's not where
That's not your forte.
Yeah, that's not where I put my focus.
Like if you were trying to tell me about like music, like how to read classical music, like I'd probably want to die.
Sure. And like this is your favorite part of your job, honestly.
I love
feel
nerding out.
Yeah,
I love education. I love science.
So what does the bacillus do in the skin how does it how does the skin know
It's the quorum sensing.
Quorum sensing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. So essentially quorum sensing, and that's the main mechanism of action. This is a great question. I think a lot of people are probably confused at this point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like give us like a Tyler level, like not an esthetician.
So like spores and bacteria, cool.
Yeah.
So essentially the serum uses this bacillus spore, which does have the ability, this innate, wonderful ability to perform really adaptive and efficient quorum sensing. Okay. Now, quorum sensing at its root, it's communication between bacterial cells. So all cells are doing this at all times, but some cells are better at it than others. So within a given ecosystem, each microbe that's there has a proper concentration that it should be at. So, all the cells are kind of communicating with each other, looking at the concentrations that they're at. And these concentrations are called critical masses, right? So when a bacteria is reproducing within a given ecosystem, the microbes around it are constantly monitoring it, and they're waiting for it to reach this critical mass. Once it reaches the critical mass, the microbes around it send these chemical signatures called autoinducers, and these stop the reproduction of that bacteria. It says, okay, you're good, stop reproducing. Now, that process in and of itself is quorum sensing. Okay, so when a bacteria, though, becomes too robust, or the quorum sensing signals get thrown off, that ecosystem gets thrown off. And that could be for any number of reasons: climate, environmental factors, products, hormones, internal stuff, like anything can throw off your ecosystem. Okay. When that gets thrown off and these signals don't get sent, or they don't reach the bacteria, that bacteria can become overgrown.
Mm-hmm.
So then the microbes around it kind of catch it on the back end, where it's like, oh, we have something overgrown now, we have a problem. So they turn to the immune system to say, hey, we need backup here. We need help bringing this bacteria down. So then your immune system responds, it goes to that site. And that's what we see on the skin, or even in the body, as inflammation. Mm-hmm. So anytime we see inflammation on the skin or in the body, it's an immune response. And that's why these microbes, these different microbiomes, even in the gut, are so influential on the immune system, because they're really the things that trigger that immune response. So the immune system responds, and that's what we see as inflammation, or an immune, inflammatory condition.
Yeah.
So how does the spore work into all of this? The spore is really good at quorum sensing. So it goes on the skin and it assesses the health of the ecosystem. It looks at what microbes are here, what concentration are they here at, what's going on in this ecosystem. And they're able to take in that information and then communicate it to the resident microbes. So the spore is transient. It's not engrafting into the skin. It's not colonizing the skin.
Which is different than the other biome products. So it doesn't stay.
Right.
They just come in. They're like little messenger bird. They're like, caw, caw, and then they fly away. Which brings me, which I'm going to forget, but I want to ask you, what is the lifespan? Have you guys been able to test to see what is the lifespan once you apply? How long are they, doing their job before they leave?
So it's a good question, and we do need to test that, because I'm really not sure. Typically, transient microbes are on there for a couple hours to maybe a day.
Yeah.
So somewhere within that time, it's not very specific.
And the reason I'm asking is because there were a couple days my husband did not apply SIV on Cyrus, and usually if we skipped a day of using something on him, it would flare up horribly. And I mean, my husband went like 3 days without applying it this past week, and no flare-ups. And that's why I was curious, how long, because, I mean, it's pretty crazy.
It's probably because before it was just minimized, so it was easily triggered again, but I feel like
now that it was gone, it's just like gone.
Balance.
Yeah, I think it may more so be because, like, when we did our microbiome testing, we didn't see an overabundance of bacillus. And these people were like using SIV at night and then testing in the morning. So you would think that like that bacillus is getting metabolized overnight and it's no longer on the skin. So what I think was probably happening there was he may have like facilitated these competitors to Staph aureus to be able to keep that regulated long term, because this does have the ability to actually correct the dysbiosis as long as it's topically driven. So in theory, people would be able to come off of this without having
it's not like a steroid withdrawal or a SIV withdrawal.
Right. Yeah. Wow. You won't have SIV withdrawal.
That's pretty amazing.
I have a question. Are these bacillus spores naturally occurring on our skin, or is this something brand new that's being introduced to our biome, or is this just something we already have but we don't have enough of?
Good question, Tyler.
Great question. Yeah. So these spores are not something that we produce. They're naturally found in the soil. So if you think back to like our ancestors, we used to live in the soil. We always used to come in contact with them. So we did develop a symbiotic relationship, but we don't make them ourselves. And we really don't ever come in contact with them either out in the wild anymore on the subway or in our car.
That makes sense.
That's so interesting. That is so interesting. So what are some more niche things that you've used SIV for or have heard of people using SIV on that you've seen good results with?
So I live in Michigan. Mosquito bites are a huge one. Like all of my friends will put them on our mosquito bites that are super itchy. It literally takes the itch out almost immediately.
Oh, great. We put that on my back tonight because I literally have a huge one I've been like a bear on this chair all night.
Totally. Yeah. Folliculitis, we've seen pretty good results with. You can use it for the scalp too. So like dandruff.
I've been getting a lot of inquiries for like psoriasis or scalp psoriasis. Mm-hmm.
Yep. We've even had like alopecia areata just with the immune, privilege, because a lot of that is immune privilege collapsing on the follicle. And so you have a lot of inflammation, inability for the hair to grow. So it's actually helped to reduce the inflammation. I'm not going to say it makes the hair grow because it really doesn't. It just helps to restore function to the follicle. You know what I mean?
Have you seen anything for HS?
HS.
I'll butcher it if I try to say it out loud. It's like a lot of times on the armpit, it's a very inflammatory, like nodules that women will get and men.
I don't know if anyone has tried it for that, but I would imagine that it would help. We've had someone use it for BV.
For what?
So, BV.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
All the ladies.
Have you seen anything for KP? That was what I was curious about. Really? Okay, we need to
absolutely
get Lance
Keratosis pilaris. Yeah, a lot of people.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And then body acne.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Any of these like mystery conditions too that like, every esthetician has been there where like someone comes in and you're just like, oh, I don't know what's going on.
Throw some SIV on it. I mean, literally that's the key.
It's a joke with my friends. Like we're all like, oh, if you have, any problem, emotional, mental, physical, just put SIV on it. It's fine.
I love that.
Amazing. And, I love how attainable it is for everyone too. I know that.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of moms, like if say it were like $250,
like lipid serum one.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like.
That's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But it's $68.
And it lasts a really long time. Like we only needed like 2 to 3 drops for size whole. Well, I mean, he's also a toddler, but like his whole area.
You're right. It's only a small amount because the main objective of the product is not to coat your skin. It's almost like a topical supplement. Like you just want to get the spores in contact with the skin. So, you don't want to go like using way too much and feeling like you've put this coating over the skin. It's truly like should lay invisibly. So 1 to 3 drops is typically enough for the face. And like you said, that like 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 drops for the body is perfect.
Yeah, because I'm sure they travel on their own a little bit. Maybe
they do. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, you're exactly travelers. Right. They're like, I don't want to stay in one place. I want to go see the city.
By the end of this.
I love that. So I love that. Have you seen, and like the cool thing that I love for my clients too is you can still use it with your retinoids and other acids, and it plays nice in the sandpit, which is huge for clients that are on a regimen. Yeah. The other byproduct I was working with like did not play well in the sandpit. So I was really happy to hear that like this was something that could be an addition to my clients with anything that they're struggling with. I mean, we've seen crazy results with perioral dermatitis and periocular dermatitis as well. So anyone that's getting acne around the mouth or around the eye area, this has been such a game changer. And it's really great post-procedure too.
And I mean, even people who have like allergic reactions, like she got a message where
she someone had hives. Did you see that one? The hives. Did you see that?
Yes. Oh my God.
It was insane.
That was crazy. I screenshotted it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you need to use that in your little spank bank of
right.
But, I mean, it's just insane how huge of a difference in such little of a time. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing to me is how short of a time period it is because every other
the
case
skin's
study,
so responsive with it.
Yeah, like every other case study you look at, it's like, well, we need like 12 weeks of data. And I'm like, I'm sure that y'all did similar case studies as well, but really for every case that we are getting reports on, it's like we only need 48 hours worth of data.
Or 24,
like, 24
12
like,
next morning, put it on at night. In the morning, they're like 90-80% healed.
Yeah, it's
from one application that's huge. So let me ask you more personal. When you started this, did you ever expect it to be what it is right now?
No. I thought I was like going to be doing this like on the side for my whole life. I was like, when I tell you guys, I had no idea what I was stumbling on. I had no idea. And to see it now is literally mind blowing. Like I pinch myself every single day. Like I'm like, this is insane what is happening right here.
See
and
God
I'm
just working through her though is so amazing. Like it's just like, I truly believe, and I don't get super religious on my podcast as we have followers from every religion and all of that. But those that know, I am very, in tune with my religion with God. And I know you are too. She sent me an amazing book, which I'm going to start cracking into when I get to the Maldives. Don't let me forget it. But I think it's so crazy because when you are living through your purpose and when you're doing something for the goodness of others, it just works. It just happens. Like, it's just like something clicks, and it's like, I've always noticed in life when I was experiencing so much resistance trying to pursue a relationship with someone or a friend group or a career that like was not what God wanted for me. It was just like roadblock after roadblock. And not to discredit our hard work, because we are hardworking, like we put in the work, but when you put in the work and you're still getting all this resistance and you're like, why is this happening? I'm doing everything. It's like, when you found this and when I found just skincare in general and being in aesthetics, it was just this mission to just help heal through skincare. And to see you doing the same, and you're like the same age as I am, it's just truly so cool. And I think, you're way cooler than me. I didn't create a product. I didn't freaking crack the code to eczema like you did. But it is just phenomenal to watch and see you grow. And I'm just, again, I will probably say it 30,000 times. I'm just proud of you. And just you're honestly you're fearless. Like that is something so huge, to take the dive, to take the jump, to put yourself out there, to go to the shows, to, come up to me and give me the bag. Like that takes so much courage. And to see where you've gotten today in such a short amount of time, like babe, 1 year, so many companies don't get to where you are, like 10 years, or they quit before they even get there. So I just hope everyone listening supports her and helps her grow, because it truly is so amazing to watch and see. And again, it's not just another serum. It's not just another cleanser. Like this is something that's changing the game of skincare and also changing lives.
Thank you. I can't say thank you enough, but yeah, it's just been insane. And your influence has been completely game changing, to be totally honest. And yeah, fearless or delusional, I don't know. You decide. But I think you need delusion to be successful.
You do.
Though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really think you do. Because if you don't believe in yourself, like, why should anyone else believe in you? So you really have to. And I agree that like when it's your calling and when you are called to do it, things do fall into place. Like there's so many things that could have gone wrong. There's so many like lucky breaks that I had along the way to this point. And if it's supposed to work out, it will. And I'm sure like I'll have more. Like people, I think, also underestimate the role of luck in success. Like everyone has like certain lucky things that, will happen that bring you to where you are. And it's just been amazing. And to see the impact it's having is truly mind blowing and unbelievable.
I love that. So we have a lot of people that listen that are not only estheticians, but business owners or in different fields. And, as a young business owner, a young CEO, give us some of your biggest wins and some biggest lessons that you've learned.
Oh, biggest wins would probably be the connections. Like, don't discount anybody. Going at it with the right purpose is a huge thing. And just making these key connections, like one person can literally change the game, and big or small. Like, Jen brought us on and she was incremental in like, I can't even tell you how much she helped grow our business. And in the beginning, like I didn't know who she was. And like, I had no idea. And, nurturing that relationship. And now we're great friends. And she's just been so incredible in like
she's
paving
so
the way.
sweet.
So She's amazing. I cannot say enough nice things about her. Like Cult Skin by Jen, love you so much. So definitely connections are a huge thing. And like you are who you surround yourself with, always learning from people. Like I think that's one of the most important things too, is like something that I've really learned along this process is like, shut your mouth. Listen and shut your mouth. Like that is like, I'm one of those people who like, I like to give my opinion. I like to talk. I like to, like spout off whatever about things that I think. And it's like, no, you don't know everything. You actually don't know anything. So shut up and listen. I think that's really important in business, especially being young and growing the company and kind of taking everything through a filter and analyzing it yourself. I mean, okay, what do I think about this? And why do I think this? And so it's forced me to grow in a lot of ways, which has been really refreshing and really nice and really able to, being able to reflect on that has been really cool. And it's illuminated parts of my personality that are great, that I love, and parts of my personality that I'm like, you know what, I think you need to work on this, and that's what it's all about. It's all about growth and kind of figuring things out. And I am young and there's a lot that I don't know. And realizing that has been really important in this too.
But youth is power because we have stamina and you have many more years to go and many more products to create. Which brings me to my next question. Is there anything exciting or new coming up for SIV that you can share?
Yes, we do have. So we have a back bar size coming out, which is fun and good. And I'm excited about that.
I am too.
Another thing we do have in the works, which I'm not sure when this will launch, but I'm excited about it, is actually a microbiome test. So being able to swab the skin and actually looking at like what is going on the skin.
Oh my gosh.
So
that is phenomenal. That is going to be such a game changer. Now, is this going to be something that you have to do in an office setting or something that you can, get at home and learn about your skin at home?
So right now, I'm not really sure. I'm thinking it's going to be probably done through estheticians.
Yeah.
Just because the instructions.
Because I'll probably get confused and be like, what the fuck did these numbers mean? What am I going to do?
Right.
Am I dying?
You want to make sure that everything's done right. Yeah. And, they start, who knows what people do. So we're going to keep it in office probably. But I think it'll be a great tool.
Awesome.
To be able to diagnose.
Yeah, it's like
going to be great.
It's like
a
you
diagnostics.
have your like Visia, which can see the skin, and then you have like your
can read it.
Something that can read the bacteria levels on your skin.
That's going to be so exciting.
Totally.
I can't wait for that.
Is that like a 23andMe where we have to like send them off to a lab, or like we can do it?
You will have to send it off to a lab. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey, that's amazing.
Yeah, but I think it'll be so cool too to like get that data and like start seeing trends and learning about the microbiome too.
Yep. And I think just like biome care in general, has been such a big topic in our industry, but I think it's now kind of trickling down to the consumer level where people are like, oh, my microbiome, like what is that? Why does this matter? Barrier repair, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That is so amazing. So I'm trying to think what other questions I have. Do you have any that you can think of? I know I have some.
I just wanted to know how a spore worked.
Did I answer the question?
Oh, you did, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I guess my two main things were how does it interact with the skin, and like do we already have it? Like, like how some of the other
like is it already like a resident?
Yeah, she's not.
It's not.
She's
moving just a
in.
Messenger bird.
Yeah, she's vacationing on the skin.
I love that. Okay, so back bar size, microbiome test. Okay, will you just tell us fun facts about you. Tell us, what you hope people take away from this episode, what they learn about you and your company. I mean, anything. The world is your oyster. The stage is yours.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I just want them to know, first of all, like everyone should be using this. This is like, you take a probiotic for your gut, like everyone is like on that. The skin is just as important. Like so many times we say that the skin is the largest organ, but like, do we really understand what that means? Like when we have acne or when we have an inflammatory condition, that is your largest organ constantly inflamed. It doesn't take a break at night. It doesn't take a break during the day. It is constantly inflamed. Any other organ of the body that's constantly inflamed, we're getting that checked out. We're getting that figured out, right? And like on the skin, we're just like, oh my God, like this is so annoying. And it's like, no, it's like actually a problem.
Yeah.
Really get that dialed in. It's not vain. It's not vanity. It's your health. This is your largest organ, right?
Skincare is healthcare.
Really taxing on the body to have that kind of inflammation. So I just want people to understand, like, taking care of your skin is not vain. It is not vanity. It is a huge, crucial part of your health. And there's so many indications on the skin that drive internal stressors in the body. Like, it's not just that your skin is reflecting what's going on the inside. It is truly driving what's going on the inside. So there's a study, it's called the Baltimore Longitudinal Study of Aging, actually. And it followed this group of people throughout their life. So like starting young to old. And so it's not like a regular cohorted study where it's like they're comparing a group of young people to a group of old people. They really followed these people to see how they aged. And what they found in the study unequivocally was that the health of their skin was an independent risk factor for whether or not they would develop a chronic disease somewhere else in their body.
Whoa.
So an independent risk factor, regardless of any other lifestyle things, the health of their skin alone was able to determine whether or not they had this.
So I guess we'll never die.
Yeah, you guys are.
I don't know. I'm super acne prone. That scares me.
We're basically immortal.
Yeah,
that's
right?
amazing. That is such a cool study. What was it called again?
The Baltimore Longitudinal Study of Aging.
Hey, I'm gonna have to look into that. That's actually really, really cool.
Yeah, I can send it to you. It's really cool. And they're even doing new studies now too, where they're linking like certain, like, I think it's either yeast overgrowth or fungi overgrowth to Alzheimer's.
Wow.
Because if it's on the nose, you're breathing those spores in and it's affecting your brain.
Holy shit.
Like, more and more things are going to start coming out like this, and people need to realize, like, you need to treat your skin well, not just how it looks. Like, it's truly a huge piece of health.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we're going after with SIV, is just improving the health of the skin and overall health of the skin.
I love that. And do you know why it's called SIV? Pop quiz. Skin IV was what it was originally called. But then also, you could say spores, Isabel. And then your last name is Vitale?
Vitale, yeah.
Vitale. So it also could be like her name, her initials.
I love that. Skin IV.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because it was Skin IV, right? And then you just made it SIV. I love the name. It's catchy. It's short. It's easy.
No. I mean,
yeah, we liked it too. And there's like, you know, things that you can be like, oh, like sieve your skin, or like,
oh, sieving. Or you can be like living your best life, sieving your best life.
Yeah, sieve your best life.
I love that. Sieve your best life. Sieve your best skin, honestly.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. So for estheticians that are listening and want to carry a wholesale account, what's the best way for them to get in contact?
Yeah, so they can absolutely sign up on the website, so sivcare.com. And then there's a For Professionals tab. So you can sign up through there and you'll get a welcome email and an onboarding call with me. You can also follow us on Instagram and DM us on Instagram. That was one actually really great piece of business advice I got from somebody, was to like greet all of your Instagram followers and to really engage with them, because Instagram is such a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
And so that's brought me a lot of really, really great connections over there, because it's not then passive. It's like you're really like actively trying to connect with them. So that was great. That really changed our business a lot too.
I love that. And I was going to ask, we have an MD obviously, but for the estheticians that don't, are you able to carry this product without a medical director?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Oh,
open to all.
And then what else was I going to ask? It was such an important question. And of course I'm going to forget it like a dumbass. Oh, are you guys working on getting patented delivery systems or anything? Are you trying to get SIV patented? That was something I wanted to ask. We are working on kind of protecting what we've created. As you should. You need to, please. Yeah, totally. So it's in the works. I've heard it's a bitch to patent something. So all the prayers and love towards you. But if anyone can do it, you can do it. Thank you. We'll be sending you lots of coffee and flowers. And then what else was I going to ask? Oh, and then for clients and followers, we carry SIV on our website. So if you want to get it, you need it. SIV Your Best Life. I'm so excited for everyone to try this. And I mean, you guys, it's something that can be virtually used on every single skin concern, whether it's, like she said, bug bites, acne, fungal acne, folliculitis, eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis. I mean, so good, especially just for irritation, dryness. I mean, it is such a game changer. And again, such a good price point. Like, thank you for making it affordable and accessible for so many. that is huge. Like, you could easily be charging like $600 for this. And so the ethics that you have and carry and the results that you carry are why you are such an amazing partner. And I just adore you and what you're doing. And we are your biggest supporters. We're excited to see you grow and just thankful we can be along for the ride and help you any way we can.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot. And yeah, I mean, I wanted to keep it accessible because I really think that everyone should be using it and it's just going to benefit everybody. And thank you guys for the work that you've been doing, with us, for us, everything, and bringing it to a whole new audience of people who need it. And the before and afters, I'm dying. Literally, my heart explodes. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. I know. I cannot even imagine that feeling. Like, it's like watching your baby become the president.
Right?
That's how I'd imagine it would feel like to create a product that's doing all that. It'd be like watching Cyrus become the president of the United States. That's amazing. And shout out to Jen as well. She, with her before and after that one of her clients sent her was the reason I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get over my fear of Biome products and give this one a shot. And I'm so glad I did. And I learned a big lesson in this that, sometimes when you try certain things, again, this is very different than what I was referring to that we used in the past. Very, very different. The way it works, very different ingredients, all that, but similar realm of skincare. You could put it if you put
microbiome.
Yeah, microbiome thing. Don't let one bad experience shut you off because you might be missing out on something amazing. And that's something amazing with SIV.
One door closes, another opens.
Always. And I 100% back this.
Yes.
All right.
This message is approved.
This message is approved by Savanna Boda. Any closing thoughts or anything you want to leave us with? Something you want someone to know? Anything?
Thank you guys. Everyone should be using this. And tiny bacteria, big deal.
I love it. And that's what's right behind her, which I think is so cute.
I love that.
I love it. Thank you so much. It was so good to see you. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, besties.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next Monday. Bye, guys.